there's some kind of ecological explanation in the migratory pattern of mosquitoes that makes it like, no, that's crazy. That's crazy. The Bible reads that God turned dust into gnats. God did this thing. And look at what happens. Look at what happens with the magicians. Verse 18, the magicians tried by their secret arts to produce gnats, but they could not. So there were gnats on man and beast. Then the magician said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he would not listen to them, as the Lord had said. There were gnats everywhere. Yesterday we were making pancakes, family breakfast, and our little griddle was still in our camping trailer, so it's like out in the driveway, and we're trying to make these pancakes and stuff and fry up the bacon and eggs, and I get ready to pour the pancake mix onto the griddle, and you know what's in it? Gnats! There's gnats! And I got little girls out there like, Dad, there's gnats in the I got out as many as I could. I don't know. I'm not sure that I got them all, but I did what I could. That was nothing compared to what was going on in Egypt. There were gnats absolutely everywhere. You know that feeling when you walk through a swarm of gnats and it's nasty. That was all of Egypt. God's power is on display, and now the magicians in Egypt, they know that it's God. They know that it's something different, don't they? They know that it's different than what they can do. Then the Lord said to Moses, rise up early in the morning and present yourself to Pharaoh as he goes out to where? Where does it say he goes? What does it say? To the river? To the water? As he goes out to the Nile again. This is Pharaoh's pattern. As he goes out to the water, and say to him, thus says the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. Or else I will send swarms of flies. Wait a minute. Bigger flying bugs. Your magicians recognized that the gnats were from God. I'm going to make them bigger. It's going to get worse. I'm okay with house flies. These aren't house flies. You ever been chased by deer flies? Oh, those are the worst. I hate deer flies. Have you ever been bitten by a horse fly? Deer flies are the same size as the house fly, but they got little speckles on their wings. And they're fast, and they're angry, and they come after you for no reason. Like you're just walking along, and they're just on you. And they bite, and it hurts. Horse flies are not the same size as house flies. Horse flies are like as big as your thumb, and they bite, and it hurts. They bite so hard it hurts a horse, right? Like it hurts when a horsefly bites you. We don't know what kind of flying insects these were. Doesn't make sense that they were houseflies. Maybe they were houseflies and they're just everywhere and nasty and gross everywhere. Maybe. Here's the thing. It was awful for the Egyptians. There are flies absolutely everywhere. Everywhere. But notice exactly where. This is the first time the text really starts to lay out boundaries. Verse 21, or else if you will not let my people go, I will send swarms of flies on you and your servants and your people and into your houses, and the houses of the Egyptians will be filled with swarms of flies. We lose our minds when there's 10 flies in our house. Like we come unglued as a family with 10. Swarms will fill them, and also the ground on which they stand. Flies everywhere, loved ones. But on that day I will set apart the land of Goshen, where my people dwell, so that no swarms of flies shall be there, that you may know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. Thus I will put a division between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall happen. Do you see what Moses is doing? He's saying, hey, look, I'm going to send, God's going to send all these flies, but God's not going to send them. He's not going to send them just everywhere. It's not like a nuclear bomb that you just kind of hope to take out everybody and their neighbors. It's a precision attack. It's a precision offensive against the Egyptians. God says, hey, I'm going to distinguish. I'm going to show you that my power is not just great, it's also precise. I have control over my power. God is not just this powerful God who just kind of swings his sword around at random and just causes destruction. God is powerful, but he's also surgical. God brings a precise strike against the Egyptians. His power is so strong. And he distinguishes between the Egyptians and his chosen people. The purpose of God's power was not only to bring the people of Israel out of Egypt, it was also so that the Egyptians would know, that they know that he is God and that he is stronger than any of their gods. Verse 25, then Pharaoh called to Moses and Aaron and said, go sacrifice to your God within the land. Just go somewhere in Egypt and do whatever you got to do. Moses is like, no, that wouldn't be right because the way we offer sacrifices are an abomination to the Egyptians and they'll kill us. We have to go 3 days' journey into the wilderness. So Pharaoh said, I will let you go sacrifice, only you must not go very far away. Plead for me. Pharaoh knows how to get these plagues to stop. He knows. He sees that the power is with Moses as God. Then Moses said, behold, I'm going to go out from you. I will plead for you that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh and his servants and from his people tomorrow. Only let not Pharaoh cheat again by not letting the people go to sacrifice to the Lord. Don't be a liar, Pharaoh. Moses is calling him out. Not only is God using Moses to undermine Pharaoh's power, he's also undermining Pharaoh's trustworthiness as a leader. Don't lie. So Moses went out from Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord, and the Lord did as Moses asked. That's God's presence, right? God is present in this, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh. That's God's power. God brought the surgical attack, and he removed it. That's God's power. He removed them from Pharaoh and his servants and from his people, and not one remained. That'd be glorious. I wish God would do that in my house when the flies take over. But Pharaoh hardened his heart this time also and did not let the people go. Loved ones, that's God's promise. God said, hey, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart. I'm going to do this. I'm going to free you, but it's going to be with great acts of judgment. I'm going to put my power on full display. And what we find out is so that not only the Egyptians know, but also the Israelites are going to know it. And you know who else is going to know it? All the watching nations are going to know it. The nations hear about what God does to Egypt, and they're afraid, as they should be, because of God's power. But here's the thing. We just read plague number 4. Do you know how many plagues there are? Who knows how many plagues? Kids, do you guys know how many plagues there are? How many plagues are there? How many? You think it's 10? Are you sure? Does anybody else have a different answer? You think it's definitely 10? What about the 11th plague? You're right. I'm making you guys look at the Bible. Know that, take your answers from the Bible, not from me. There is no 11th plague. There's 10 plagues. We just read, how many did we read? 4. Do you know how many plagues God told Moses and Aaron there would be? He didn't. Imagine being an Israelite. Okay, we're watching all these things happen around us. Moses told us that God said he would deliver us and he would use mighty acts of power. Maybe this is the one. maybe this is the final one. Maybe, okay, the gnats. That was a big deal. That was awful. Okay, what's next? What's next? Okay, Pharaoh said no. Oh, God's ramping it up. Now it's flies. Okay, it got bigger. That was a mightier act. Oh, Pharaoh hardened his heart again. How long do we have to endure while we wait on God to finally act on our behalf? Do you ever feel that way? Do you ever feel like you're walking through life and you're like, Lord, I know that you've led me to this spot. How long do I have to endure? How long do I have to wait for you to act? I know you're acting, but I just don't know how long I have to wait. Do you ever feel like that? You just don't know how long. I told somebody recently, I was like, I feel like I'm kind of in between plagues 3 and 4 right now. Right? Like we're praying that God will give us a new location. And every time I get my hopes up, I feel like, okay, God just executed another plague, and maybe this is the one. And then Pharaoh's heart hardens, and it's like, nope, that building's sold. And I'm like, come on, Lord, how many more rounds of me getting my hopes up and me learning again that I just have to trust you? How many more rounds do I have to go? Do you know what the answer is? We have no idea. We have no idea. And that was like a silly example, right, girls? That was just kind of a silly example of like, oh, Hope doesn't have a building, but we still have a place to meet, don't we? Like we can still meet. These chairs are soft. The air conditioning works. God's giving us some time here, right? And even if we get kicked out tomorrow, we have a place to go. So it's really not that big of a trial. But sometimes our trials are big, right? Sometimes it's like somebody gets sick over and over and over again. Or somebody dies unexpectedly. Or, like what happened to one of our members, their son passed away last week after a long battle with the disease. Right? He was a little bit older. He was my age probably. Different state. But he passed away. It's a hard, sometimes the way that the cycle goes, we don't see how God is working. Beloved ones, we know that God is working. God is always faithful to fulfill his promises. God is always faithful to work. And what we see here in Exodus is that God is powerful. It's not a broad power. It's a very specific, strong power. And the things that we're trusting God for in our own lives, we have to make sure, just like the Israelites, we have to make sure that we're trusting God to be himself, and we're worshiping him. We're not just worshiping the idea of our own salvation. Moses had to keep his eyes on God. He had to remember, hey, God is the one who's with me. It's the great I am. It's not just some powerful being that's going to save me and do what I want or do what I need. Whether or not God saves us is up to him. Whether or not our children make it through that really difficult disease is up to him. God's character, God's worth of being worshiped does not change, no matter the outcome. Whether or not God gives Hope a new building doesn't really matter, does it? God himself does not change. He's still worthy of our worship. He's still worthy of our trust. No matter how many cycles of trust we have to go through, no matter how many times we get our hopes up and we think, oh, Lord, maybe this is the one, only to have our hopes dashed again. God is still worthy. He's still worthy of our trust. He's still worthy of our praise. He's still worthy of our honor. And loved ones, he will still come through in the ways that he promises. For Moses, it was really clear cut, wasn't it? God says, hey, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart, but I will bring you out. So we know that that's going to happen. We know that that's the cycle that's happening, and it's playing out. For us, it's a little bit harder sometimes to know. Sometimes we say, well, God, you said that if I trust you, you said that if I come to you with another person, whatever we ask will be granted. You said that. Why are these prayers not getting answered, Lord? Why? We don't always know why, but look, here's the thing. God is never, how do I not have a physical Bible up here? Who's got a Bible? God is never going to, he is never going to forsake his word. He's never going to let down the promises in his word. He's never going to fail. You say, yeah, but I think this means this. Well, there's a chance that you just kind of misunderstand because we're human and he's God. Right? That's how Job's friends were. Job's friends, they were well-intentioned, but they were dead wrong about who God was. You know what the answer to Job was? God can do whatever he wants to do because he's God, and it's good, and it's glorious, and even if he tried to explain it to us, we probably wouldn't understand because we're human and he's God. We don't have the depth of wisdom that God has. But we know that God is righteous, and he will always do what's right. And he will always be faithful to his word. So what do we do? What do we do when we're disappointed? Man, God, I feel like another plague just happened. And those frogs were bad, those gnats were bad, and now we're on flies. God, what could come next? I don't want to keep going through this. Do you ever feel that way? I don't want another trial, Lord. Loved ones, our hope is not in relief from trials. Our hope is in the one who has the power to solve the problem, and the power and the love and the presence to act behind the scenes, to act in our hearts. Sometimes, this is the hardest thing as the worship team comes up. This is the hardest thing. Sometimes, maybe the word is often, as God takes us through these things, it's not all about our deliverance. Sometimes it's about our sanctification. And God is using these really difficult things to teach us something, to build something in us, to grow us, to make us more like himself in some way. That's how God so often acts, loved ones. Today was part 1 of the plagues, part 1 of God's flex. Next week we're going to look at part 2. And then the week after that we're going to look at part 3. And here's what we're going to see. We're going to keep seeing God's power on display. And we're going to keep seeing how God not only does not forget his people. That's good news for us, isn't it? God doesn't forget us. But we're also going to see that out of God's love and God's kindness, he makes a way for people to come to himself. He doesn't just blast people out of the water. He makes a way for redemption. I'm so thankful for that, right? I'm so thankful that Christ died for my sins so that I could know God. Isn't that a beautiful thing? That is his love on display. We serve a great God. Will you stand with us as we sing praises?